Hello everyone, and welcome back to another average review. And today, well, we're gonna be reviewing a figure I never thought I'd actually get. The Marvel Legends Maximum Hulk. I've made my grievances with the price of this figure known in my Gamer vs. Venom video, but I decided to give it a chance. So, hey, looking at the box, and hey, this is a really good Marvel Legends box right here. I mean, we have the Marvel Legends logo and the Maximum Series logos right here, along with Hulk's name. There's, on the sides and in this green background, there's a lot of comic panels of the Hulk. A bit hard to see, but it's still really nice. We've got a couple shots of the figure with the alternate heads and stuff. On the back, we can see how... Hey, the big selling feature of this figure, this Hulk can do the classic Hulk thunderclap, unlike pretty much every Marvel Legends Hulk. And on this side, we see another shot of some of the figure's accessories and one of the alternate heads. So overall, yeah, this is probably one of the best Marvel Legends boxes I've ever seen. But hey, let's get this controversial figure out of the box and see if it's a Hulk smash hit. Alright, getting this figure out of the box, and there is a pretty big amount of reuse from the regular Marvel Legends Hulk body mold that was first used for the 80th anniversary 2-pack Hulk. He's got the same forearms, biceps, hands, and the entire, leg area minus the feet. The new parts are the shoulders, actually, the head, of course, the feet with the toe articulation, and this torso. Might I mention, the upper section, this will come into play later, but it's squishy, which I find really funny, because you can just do this. But... going on to the head sculpt, and I really, really love this head sculpt. It is based on the Professor Hulk from the late Peter David's incredible Hulk run. They captured that design really well. I will say, it's a bit odd that they gave him fully white eyes, since from most of what I've read of those comics, he had just pupils, like normal Hulk. I don't think this is bad. I actually think it looks really cool along with his cocky grin. But I don't know, just something to mention. He's of course got the shaved sides, which is a crucial part of this, classic Professor Hulk look. And yeah, it looks really nice. It's hard to notice on camera, but they actually have some red paint in the very little bit of gums we see, which I think is an amazing, detail. Which, you'd hope to see for a figure as expensive like this. Like I mentioned, there's a lot of reuse from that 80th anniversary Hulk mold, which, I guess if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Except for these elbows, you might want to fix that since they're only single jointed. But I will concede and say that, yeah, this body mold, amazing in terms of looks and for the most part articulation. Hard to notice with my lighting, but... the regular figure is, of course, lime green, but there's some more yellowy green highlights on a lot of the muscles on the arms and the torso to, add some neat highlights, which, again, really nice detail. There's also some lighter purple tears on the pants, sort of like the 20th anniversary of Marvel Legends Hulk. These ones are a bit more subdued, though. I would like to mention, unlike the 80th and 20th anniversary Hulk molds, there isn't actually a cut here for the butterfly joints. It still works though, but once again, that is for the articulation. I'd also like to mention, disappointingly, that the paint on the tears sort of just ends on the back of the figure. So yeah, that's a bit of a pet peeve, but the rest of the figure does look amazing. Smashing, even, if you will. If you won't, that's okay, that was a terrible joke. But for something I hope isn't terrible, let's move on to the articulation on this Hulk. Now, his head is on a dumbbell joint, and he does get a bit of up. Would like a bit more, though. He does bury the chin a fair bit thanks to that squishy torso. his head spins all the way around and gets a fair bit of tilt side to side. Now, he still has the butterfly joints, and thanks to that squishy torso, they can actually bend forward pretty far, and you can get that thunderclap position with a bit of effort, you know. We'll try that later when we get to the accessories, though. They do bend back a lot less than I'd like. You know, I still wish they kept the cut back here so that, you know, you could get, like, the arms all the way back. But, hey, if it means you can get him to do a thunderclap, I guess that makes it easier to swallow, I guess. He does, of course, have the Marvel Legends shoulders that can spin around, and the shoulders do get about, well, maybe a little less than 90 degrees, which is one thing I wish they updated with these new shoulders, so that you get a much higher arm raise with this Hulk. Although he does have bicep swivel and single-jointed elbows that can bend about 90 degrees and also swivel, along with the Marvel Legends hand articulation, which spins around and hinges up and down. Now, of course, he's got a diaphragm joint in the torso, just like the original body mold. He actually gets a lot further hunched forward than the previous version of the body mold, at least I think, which I'm a big fan of. He gets a less than impressive arch back, spinning around, along with a bit of tilt side to side, which both of those are, once again, improvements I am very happy about. And he's got a waist swivel, which lets him spin all the way around. He's got the Marvel Legends ankles that can kick forward less than 90 degrees. Again, another thing I wish they updated. And also get a pretty good split. I mean, for a Hulk figure, that's a really good split. He's also got the Marvel Legends thigh cut, which gives you turning all the way around. Double jointed knees with a pretty dang, an alright bend about 90 degrees. He's also got Marvel Legends ankles that can hinge backwards, forwards, and pivot side to side, along with Marvel Legends toe articulation, which, I mean, yeah, that's a pretty good bend right there. So overall, his articulation isn't bad, but especially in the legs, there is a lot to be desired. Which, I mean, for a figure as expensive as this, that's a bit of a problem. Alright, moving on to the figure comparisons, and of course we have to start out with the standard male and female comparisons, the Marvel Legends Renew Your Vows Spider-Man and Spinneret. Of course, though, we gotta bring out some Avengers for this Hulk. Let's start out with the Armored Avenger, Iron Man, in both classic and 90s modular armor looks. Since, I mean, this is the 1990s Professor Hulk. But hey, if we're bringing out modular Iron Man for the Hulk, we might as well bring out the Toy Biz 90s Hulkbuster. I will say, this figure, besides it being a bit smaller than the modern Hulks, actually holds up really well in terms of looks. For some other important Avengers, though, we of course have to bring out the 20th anniversary Captain America and the 80th anniversary Thor. For the two other founding Avengers, though, we have Ant-Man by Toy Biz and the Wasp by Hasbro. For the MCU founding Avengers, though, we have Hawkeye and the superposable Black Widow from the Avengers Beyond Earth's Mightiest collection. For a couple Avengers villains, though, we have Loki, the villain who caused the Avengers to become a team in the first place, and Ultron. And one of, if not the biggest villain in the Marvel Universe, Thanos, who despite his great power, is still shorter than the Hulk. For some characters Hulk has the occasional or frequent scuffle with, we have the retro-carded Thing and the 80th anniversary Juggernaut. Sometimes the size disparity between the Thing and the Hulk varies. In many of the earlier comics, they were around the same height, but in more recent ones, Hulk is a lot bigger. I think this is a pretty good middle ground for the height difference between the two. But for an iconic hero who was introduced as fighting with the Hulk, we have Wolverine, specifically the brown-suited comic version, who is surprisingly happy to be here, and the movie Deadpool and Wolverine yellow-suited version, who is unsurprisingly quite the opposite. But hey, let's finally move on to more Hulk-related characters, starting of course with his cousin, Jennifer Walters She-Hulk, from the Iron Man the Animated Series Retro Card line. And I'm happy to announce that while they are a bit different, the greens and purples match pretty well between these two figures. And hey, they're even both sporting a nice grin, although this one is a lot more pleasant than her cousin's. Although for some even less pleasant versions of the Hulk, who were all introduced in the late Peter David's Amazing Hulk run, we have Joe Fixit, the Grey Hulk, and the evil future Hulk, the Maestro. I do actually like how compared to the Maximum Hulk, Maestro has a much more faded green. It definitely fits with him being a much older Hulk. Although for some other versions of the classic Green Hulk, we have the Toy Biz Face-Off Hulk, which is probably one of my favorite comic Hulks, and the MCU Avengers Endgame Professor Hulk. Oh yeah, I decided to swap out the stone-faced head with the smirking head, since that matches better with this Professor Hulk right here, which, yeah, that's what the Smart Hulk in Endgame was based off of. For some Hulk villains, though, we have the Toy Biz Face-Off version of the leader, and the recent Marvel Legends Captain America Brave New World Red Hulk, who doesn't really look anything like Harrison Ford, but I'm fine with that, because it means he matches better with comic Hulks like this one right here. For some slightly less popular villains, though, we have the Build-A-Fig versions of the Absorbing Man and Zemnu, the Living Hulk. I'm bringing them out because A, I think they deserve a bit more appreciation because, I mean, they're pretty cool, and B, because they both actually appeared in the Immortal Hulk comic run, which is considered by many to be one of, if not the greatest Hulk runs of all time. But hey, as is tradition, here's the Marvel Legends Maximum Series Hulk with Hitmonkey and Goliath. Alright, let's move on to the fun part of this figure, the accessories. Now, throughout the video, I've been showing him with this 90s Professor Hulk head. But he also comes with two alternate heads. This one is based on the art of Mike Deodato Jr. And I gotta say, I used to really dislike this head sculpt until I actually compared it to, well, the art it was based on. And yeah, I actually think the head itself is pretty accurate. But Mike Deodato's Hulk art is very veiny, over the top, and I feel like a lot of that is missing from this Hulk. He's got veins, he's of course super muscular like the Hulk, but it's not the same level. Now, do I think that ruins this head sculpt or anything? No. But, you know, I feel like it's a bit inaccurate to how the actual art looks, and this head, yeah, it's definitely an acquired taste, but hey, I acquired it. Now for probably my favorite of the Maximum Hulk heads, the Ed McGuinness Hulk head sculpt. Ed McGuinness is one of my favorite comic artists. I love a lot of his work on Batman and Superman, and of course, I love the way he draws the Hulk, and this is such just a good translation of his art into a slightly more realistic looking style. I mean, it's not realistic, but it's definitely more realistic than his art is. And yeah, I really like how it looks. One issue, though, on this head specifically, the eyes, they're a bit off-center, which, yeah, I'm a bit miffed about that. I mean, you can see it here. Yeah, there's a bit of a misprint, which is pretty frustrating when this is such an expensive figure, and this is easily my favorite head sculpt. But still, great head sculpt, not the best quality control. There's something I haven't mentioned, though. There's actually green dry brushing on the black hair, which, you know, a lot of times in the comics, that's how Hulk's hair is shaded, and I think that looks really cool. So hey, some pros, some cons. But we don't just have alternate heads. Throughout the video, I've shown him with these open hands, one being an accessory holding hand. But he, of course, comes with a pair of fists, and I mean, what's the point of a Hulk figure if he doesn't have two fists to punch people around with? But that's not all. Because he also comes with these two wide-open palm hands, and hey, if you put his arms together, you can get him into that classic Hulk thunderclap, and hey, it's a pretty nice effect. But that isn't all for this thunderclap pose. There's also these two swoosh effects that clip onto the hands, and it's a pretty cool effect, because there's some very, very light green fade-in right here, so it actually, you know, looks like it's coming straight from his fists. Or his hands. There's also this piece right here, which is meant to be a shockwave created by the clap. I guess he just kind of holds it? I don't really know how to actually put this in between his hands and not have it just fall out, but it's there, I guess. We do have one, or technically 3 more accessories, and this accessory is the reason why Hulk has this, well, accessory holding hand right here. It's this really cool missile rocket accessory that, like I said, comes in 3 pieces. There's obviously the main missile. This flame piece right here is an extra accessory, and you can take the top part of the missile off, which has a bunch of painted wires and extra machinery underneath. I feel like with this angry, open-mouthed screaming head, you could use that to recreate that scene in the Ang Lee 2003 Hulk movie, where Hulk, well, bites the cap off a missile. I don't know, I thought that was pretty neat. Alright, let's talk about the most controversial part of this figure, the price. The Marvel Legends Maximum Hulk, depending on where you get him from, will probably retail about $60 to $65, which, I mean, yeah, that's really pricey. I did mention Maximum Hulk in that review, and they're the same price, so I feel like it's appropriate to bring out the Marvel Legends Deluxe Gamerverse Venom. This figure retailed for the same price and is also an all-new sculpt that is more articulated and larger. Granted, this figure only came with an alternate head, 2 or technically 3 alternate hands because of that big symbiote tendril, and a bit of weird saliva accessory for this head. Meanwhile, this Hulk comes with 2 pairs of alternate hands, 3 effects, a missile accessory that splits into 3 pieces, and 2 alternate heads. So overall, he's got more accessories than this Venom. But still, I feel like this Venom is overall far better as a $60 deluxe figure. Especially because, in my opinion, this Hulk is definitely missing something. Not talking about the articulation here, but yeah, I wish that was improved too. I think he probably should have come with something like the original Hulk design, you know, the one drawn by Jack Kirby that looks like Frankenstein's monster, or, in my opinion, preferably, something more similar to the 80th anniversary 2-pack Hulk. I feel like that's my mind's vision for the classic definitive Hulk. That was already on the original, you know, Hulk body mold that this one was built off of, and plus, it was nearly the same color as this one, at least, you know, just from looking online, so they barely have to do anything. So, yeah, I feel like this figure is getting slightly close to being worth $60, but the lacking leg articulation and, well, just lack of a more classic Hulk head just kind of leaves a bit to be desired. Alright, I know I already said plenty in the price discussion, but for my final thoughts, I'm very mixed on Maximum Hulk. For the most part, the accessories are really great. minus this is, well, it leaves a lot to be desired. I think a lot of the new torso articulation is amazing. I love the artist-specific head sculpts and how they look. And I really, really like the bright green and purple color scheme. Compared to every other Hulk figure I own, this one easily has the best shades of green and the best shades of purple pants. They're just perfect for a classic Hulk. But classic Hulk is something that this figure is kind of missing in terms of the head sculpts. There's a lot of modern or contemporary designs, and I love them, but it's just missing something more iconic, I guess I should say. Also, like I mentioned, the articulation is a bit lacking. I feel like there should be better bend in the elbows and the knees. And the shoulder raise is fine, but I still would have liked it to be better. So, like I said, final thoughts, I do like this figure. I don't dislike it, but it does have a lot of flaws. So I'm going to be generous and give the Marvel Legends Maximum Hulk a 7 or 8 out of 10. Probably a 7.5. I will say, though, before I log off, I don't think this figure is as bad as everyone says it is. It's not perfect, but I still, like I said, plenty of times, I still like this figure. And hey, if you like this video enough to get to this point, first of all, thank you very much. And second of all, have a great day, 'cause you deserve it. Bye-bye!